Hi guys, this is going to be a brief hands-on kind of preview of the new Knipex TwinForce cutters. A full review will come a couple weeks after we use this a bit more. The first thing you'll notice is there's no center pivot. Okay, before we talk about the TwinForce cutters, let's talk about a more traditional design. It's hard to see in the front, but you can see on the back here we have a traditional pivot. Okay. Now with high leverage designs, like the new alignment pliers, the pivot is smaller and move closer to the jaws. This gives you higher leverage and greater amplification of force. Now, the Knipex TwinForce, there is no center pivot. Instead, we have these two, I guess we'll call them channels, or two pins, hence the TwinForce name. Now, the axis of rotation is the center of this pivot, and from there we have our lever arm, and then the jaws. So you can see the mechanical advantage, or the leverage, is from axis rotation to where you apply force, and then that gets applied to the radius between center of the pivot and the object you're cutting. So closer you are to the pivot, greater leverage will be. Now here, it's hard to see, but well, you could tell jaws move this way, handle moves that way. So you can imagine there's going to be a point between where there's no motion. Let's say it's going to be about right here. So it's going to be an imaginary pivot. So axis rotation is maybe over here, compared with traditional cutters, where the axis rotation is about here. So you can see the distance between closest cutting edge and axis rotation is greatly decreased. Now, this is of course because the two handles glide along center channels, and the pivot is, or the center pivot is imaginary, or the axis rotation is through an imaginary pivot. Now, a couple things you notice: channel locks open wide open. The Knipex TwinForce does not, but from what we could tell so far, this does not have great downside. It does come with a quick instruction guide, because you do have to use these twice when you make a cut. Instead of trying to lumber straight through like with bolt cutters, make a notch, and you can feel the resistance build up. So then you just open it, reapply closer to the cutting edge, or inward cutting edge, and you just follow through with the cut. So it does slide forward slightly. It gets harder to use. So you just slide it forward after you notch it, and then follow through. Now, one thing to note is that these are actually 7-inch cutters. Compared to it's 9-inch alignment cutters, compared to typical 8-inch diagonal cutters. Here you can see the size difference. This is a little bit lighter, smaller to carry. Made a bunch of test cuts before, and once you get used to, I guess, the compound cutting action, it's pretty comfortable and straightforward. And you usually want to do the same with regular diagonal cutters anyways. Cutting wire in one go is a little easier because you can see the gap between the cutters is much wider. Here you can't really get thicker wires to the inward cutting surface. So sometimes I'll have to notch it and go again, but generally, so it's on the first go here. Let's see if I can show. Okay, you could see there's a gap of light between the wire and the inward, most inner part of the cutter. So notch it. And you can see now that it's as inward as it goes. And just fall through and cuts through. Okay, so these are the TwinForce cutters. It's actually a pretty neat design, and it'll be interesting to see if additional pliers and cutters come out with this type of motion. But the price is quite a bit higher than with regular diagonal cutters. I believe the MSRP for these is about $60, $65. And some people are going to ask whether it's better than the NWS Fantasticos, but really it's not a fair comparison. But maybe we'll do it at one point. These, you can see, the arms move a greater length than the jaws open, and so this mechanism is supposed to amplify the applied force. So we could do it in one try. Let's see if we could cut this on one go. Yeah, we can, depending on part of the wire. Sometimes it gets, right now it's getting much more harder because it's not as inward. In that case, just reapply, follow through. Alright, any questions, just let me know. And if you're looking to buy a pair, right now Chad's Toolbox is the only kit on the block where you can find these. Alright, thanks for watching.